In this video, I'm going to share with you what it has been like to be a freelance writer during the recession, specifically in technology, because we've had so many layoffs in this industry, and a little bit about my experiences freelancing during the pandemic and how that impacted my freelance business. I'm Christine. I'm a former 9-to-5 salesperson turned freelance copywriter, and now I teach other introverted writers how to get on LinkedIn and cold pitch to build a full-time freelance business, work for themselves, work anywhere, and make the income that they desire. So here are my thoughts on being a freelancer during a recession, historic inflation, and during a pandemic. Let me start by saying this. I am very bothered and very upset about what's going on in our economy in terms of inflation, job loss. So I'm not somebody who recommends sticking your head in the sand when it comes to the issues that are going on in our world. However, there is a saying when it comes to the news and how they profit, and it is, if it bleeds, it leads. In other words, the news profits off keeping you scared, helpless, depressed, anxious, and they know that the worse they make things seem in the media, the more clicks they will get and the more money they'll get from advertisers. When you understand how especially legacy media works, you have to really unplug and detach yourself and focus on what you can control. If you are using economic uncertainty as your reason for not getting into writing or being hesitant, it is time to turn off the news. The reality is that in times of downturn, people are still getting hired, they are still hiring freelancers, they are still buying stuff, going on vacations, and living life. The world keeps turning and life goes on. Unfortunately, the news is always going to paint a really grim picture. Now, those are all straight up realities that we are dealing with. However, what you really can do is vote. If you don't like the way things are going, you have to vote and get someone else into power that you think is going to do the best job with what's going on right now. So the recession is impacting my industry big time. In 2022 alone, there have been over 41,000 layoffs just in the tech industry. But I'm happy to report that I'm still making an income, a full-time income, still able to pay all of my bills, and I still have companies reaching out to me regularly looking for freelance copywriting assistance. And most importantly, I am still getting answers to my cold pitches. The top trend I've noticed in my industry is that clients seem to be a little bit more non-committal than they were a year ago. It used to be very easy and almost a given that if a client liked my work, they would just, sign a retainer and I'd get ongoing work on a month-to-month basis. Now I'm noticing that clients are a little bit hesitant to promise anything. They're more into giving one-off work. And that's because with layoffs, uncertainty, budget cuts, all of the things that are going on within my industry, they probably just don't want to promise ongoing work to a freelancer just to have to come back to them a month later and say that they can't afford to pay me to write anymore. So I'm dealing with that. I'm rolling with the punches. It just means I have to double down on cold pitching to really make my income stable, and I'm okay with that because I have the skill of cold pitching and I know that there is going to be a client in need at some point. Now, despite everything that's going on, here's why I still suggest that you get into freelance copywriting and not let what's going on stop you. Number one is that in times of economic uncertainty, having a diversified income is actually much better than relying on an employer who can say goodbye to you at any moment. For me personally, my income was not severely affected during the pandemic. I lost a total of one client, and I swear to you, the next day somebody had reached out on LinkedIn seeing if I was available for more work. I did not see a huge halt in terms of my workflow during the pandemic, but that's because I was in an industry like tech that absolutely exploded during that time period. Whereas if you were in restaurants, hospitality, travel, and tourism, they saw a little bit of a decrease. When I did lose that client, I was thanking God that I did not rely on them for my income and that I had diversified streams of income coming from other clients. The other thing is that when companies are doing mass layoffs, freelancers can typically benefit from this. When a department like marketing starts losing employees, laying them off left and right, it's actually freelancers that they rely on to keep projects going and keep them in business. A freelancer is always going to be cheaper than a full-time employee who they have to pay for their salary and health benefits. So freelancers are more agile, they are more cost efficient, and during times of mass layoffs, when departments are slimming down or trimming the fat, whatever you want to call it, freelancers actually have a role to play there and it can benefit us. Now, in terms of inflation, when the price of everything is absolutely skyrocketing, it's legitimately jarring how expensive things have gotten just compared to a year ago. Whether it is gas, the price of anything you shop for, rents, everything has completely shot up. That's inflation. The cool thing is that as a freelancer, you have the ability to raise your rates as you please. Now, obviously, it's not that simple. It's not super easy to raise your rates to some exorbitant amount. You have to actually be able to provide the level of service that justifies a rate increase. However, think of how much more agile you are versus an employee that needs to build a case to ask for periodic small percentage raises. So as a freelancer, as the price of things start to go up, I just increase my rates by a certain percentage. And I was, that took 2 seconds versus what would happen if I was still a 9-to-5 employee that had to build a case, have a sit down with my boss, get the approval for a raise. So you have the ability to control your financial destiny a little bit more as a freelancer to keep up with inflation. Comment down below and tell me how recession, inflation, pandemic, all of these world events has impacted your view on freelancing. If you're somebody who's been a little bit hesitant to get into freelancing because of what's going on, comment down below and tell me what your concerns are. And if you're an existing freelancer who's just looking for more clients, tell me how it has impacted your outlook on your freelance business. So while these world events are very real, as freelancers, we need to put our heads down and focus on what we can control. If you have the right plan and you are taking the right steps and you have the right mindset, these obstacles don't have to stop you. They can actually make you more successful if you're able to problem solve and get creative. And if you're wondering how you can raise your rates to keep up with inflation, I definitely recommend checking out the Freelance Template Playbook on paidcopywriter.com. I have over 35 templates that tell you exactly what to say in your emails to clients to raise your rates, to ask for more work. Every client scenario is covered in this template playbook and it's available for instant download. I definitely suggest you check it out so that you can raise your rates without having the anxiety and all the stress of, oh my gosh, am I going to lose this client? How do I phrase this in a way that doesn't destroy a long-term relationship that I've built with this client? I feel loyal to them. All of those concerns are addressed in this freelance template playbook. It's not just templates telling you what to say. It's actually mini lessons that explain the psychology of what your client is thinking and how your response is appropriate and how to frame it, what tone to use, all of that good stuff. You can find it at paidcopywriter.com. Hope this helps. Thanks, guys. Bye.